No, she couldn't make it.
Welcome to Small Town Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Ben. Randy is here.
How's it going?
And today, our guests are a rock band from Arkansas. We just have one of them. TD is here from the band White Collar Sideshow. I can't talk today.
Ben,
Welcome to
Randy,
the
what's
show.
happening, brothers?
Yeah, your wife is not here with you, but I heard her in the background, so she's here in spirit.
Sure. Yeah, she's got a friend downstairs. We're actually we're from Fort Smith, Arkansas, is our hometown, old Western infamous town. Judge Parker and all of the he was known as the Hanging Judge, and back when the Indian territories, crossing over into Oklahoma, the movie True Grit has a lot of Fort Smith flavor in it. Lonesome Dove, if you're into westerns. But yeah, my wife, right now we're in Nashville, and that's a second home for us. And we're parked about 3 blocks from Broadway, which is where all the honky tonks are. There's a church here that we've had that's been in our family, I guess, since about 2009. And we have a key to the church. It's called the Anchor. And so when we pull into Nashville, we park we live in a 24-foot, basically a U-Haul that we've turned into a micro house / holds all of our equipment too. So we live in about 7 feet of space. And so it's in our apartment. We're usually on the road, working 3 shifts, town to town, place to place, except for this year, obviously.
Yeah.
And so when we pull into Nashville, we pull into the Anchor Church, our home here, and plug in. There's a shower, and then we're right in the middle of downtown Nashville, man.
Nice.
Living like hobos.
Yeah, I saw that you guys have toured 46 states and a lot of other countries.
Yeah, man. We have done a lot of crazy things that I never thought would happen in our life. You dream of those things when you're a kid, and I started playing drums when I was in 1986, so grew up with hair metal, and Tommy Lee, was one of my heroes playing drums, and you get into bands and you start playing, and that's what you dream about, right? Like touring and traveling, and you never know where you're going to be. And I honestly never knew this was going to be my life.
Yeah, I tried to do the whole band thing when I was a teenager. I also played the drums.
Nice.
So it was a lot of fun, but I've told the story on the show before, but somebody stole my drum set.
What?
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
No, I was going to say you played the drums, but then I remember you telling that story.
Yeah. Somebody stole them.
I thought Randy was fixing to say he took them.
Yeah. He might have. No, I was in this band. I'll rehash the story. I was in this band with an older gentleman and a guitarist and stuff, and we were playing in his garage. And then one day I went over there to practice, and he had moved out. Nothing was in the garage.
What?
Yeah, he just took everything.
Wow, come on.
Yeah, and I mean, I've played them every now and then since then, but it's been probably 15 years. But
wow, man. Well, you still got it in your blood, I'm sure.
Yeah, I tap my foot a lot, on the gas pedal mostly. But.
Well, we have something in common then, since we're both drivers, huh?
Yeah, both drivers and both kind of, you're a little more drummer than I'll ever be, but.
And probably vagabonds with the way that we're driving and sleeping. We both sleep at truck stops then, I guess.
Actually, I used to be OTR, but now I'm home every day, which is nice.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, all right.
I do local delivery. Well, local delivery, I guess.
So I'm not here right now, huh?
Nope.
Okay. It's like I'm a driver and a drummer too, and I'm not getting in on this conversation at all. So,
man, I didn't know that, Randy. Drums.
Well, I knew it was a driver. I didn't know it was a drummer.
Yeah, I started out on drums and then just fucked around with a bunch of other stuff. Never really got that good at anything. So
yeah, that's like my life. That's pretty much
What'd you do? Did you play drums in the marching band?
No. Good God, no. I got suspended too much for that. That's
well, then me and Randy have a lot in common. Except I didn't play drums. I played drums in marching band all the way up through high school, and then but I was suspended from school many times. So guess we kind of have little bit in common there.
I was talking to TD a little bit before the show started, and I said I just found your TikTok. He doesn't also just drum; he drums on a lot of different things, which is really cool. Like he's drumming on bridges, and he does a lot of artsy, black and white. I don't know how to explain it. What is that? Freestyle drumming, I guess. Is what you put it.
I was a skater when I was. I used to skate a lot with my buddies in Jacksonville. So shout out to the Foxwood boys, and I guess I still watch a lot of skateboard videos. I don't skate, but then I was like, so when COVID hit, right? So we had an album come out last year. We did one tour and had so many festivals and everything lined up this year, and then obviously everything got canceled to reschedule and then rescheduled to cancel. So my wife, being the genius that she is, says, look, why don't we just go shoot some like 1-minute videos of you drumming on stuff, and let's just see what happens. Let's take creativity to a different level. And of course, I'm a black and white fan. Like I love the classic look, and so our whole album it took us 2 years to do an album, not just because we do film with all of our music as well. So it's like if you come to a show, you get like this, I don't want to say it's a Pink Floyd The Wall experience, but it's definitely a Nine Inch Nails weird, strange visuals. But the whole film behind us is a solid concept. And our latest one, we did like a Sin City throwback to Mad Max kind of vibe. And it's all in black and white. So every picture and every video that we've tried to do over the last 2 years for this whole project has been everything black and white. So there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, your videos they're so artsy because they're black and white. And I'm like, I just love black and white, man. I didn't do it to be artsy or whatever. Anyway, so she comes up with the idea of how do we keep entertaining people when there's nothing happening? Like, obviously you have your music, but your videos and stuff you're pushing out there. But what's something that you can do on a weekly basis that might keep people, at the forefront of their minds, even with everything, or give someone a minute vacation, if you're somewhere doing something. So like I did one video, right? I played on an air conditioner. And so we film our music videos. It took us 2.5 years. We put a music video out, it gets 10,000 views, which is to me amazing. 20,000 views. I mean, that's like, I'm like, wow, 20,000 people. I go play on an air conditioner for a minute and it gets 80,000 views. And I'm like, holy cow, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Like, here I am putting all this stuff. But man, it turned out to be super cool because it's been another way to kind of get creative. And now that I've done so many of these, I'm starting to layer the tracks and put all these different things together. And it's like, it's getting so advanced. It's almost like putting a song together. But I love it, man. I really do. And it does keep you on your toes because, concrete, metal, it all sounds the same when you're hitting something with a stick, right? You guys know this because you're drummers. So it's trying to figure out how to get creative with your sounds too, and where everything doesn't sound the same. So anyway.
Yeah, it was really cool. I thought it was cool. And you, like you said, you're downtown Nashville there. It's a artsy type place. I've been down there. I lived in Chattanooga for 4 or 5 months.
Cool, man.
So we would drive around all over the place. Chattanooga was a really cool place.
Yeah, we played in Chattanooga.
Yeah. But
Nashville,
I mean,
it's super cool. So we came to Nashville right when COVID hit. Yeah. And so everyone, if you can imagine, we're parked 3 blocks from the honky tonks from Broadway, and there's not a soul in the city except for us. We get up, work out every morning, run downtown. There's no one. So it feels like a zombie apocalypse. Everyone's inside. No one's going to work. So we were like, wow, let's do these drum videos on these pieces of art. Like no one's around to see what you're doing, I guess. And so it kind of worked to our advantage. But yeah, it's just a crazy time. You guys know it.
My mom recorded an album in Nashville where she was on a mixed CD or something, but she did a lot of gospel, churchy country gospel stuff.
I'd love to play on some of that stuff.
I remember she recorded an album down in Nashville, and we had it was in the 90s. We had so many tapes. I bet you I'd still have some random places, but she bought like, I swear, 50,000 tapes. We just had them in our garage for a long time.
The old cassettes, man. I used to have my Walkman.
She still sings and stuff, but mostly just in church.
Yeah, man. You know what? I play drums in church every now and then.
Yeah.
And I'm actually a believer, if you guys can believe that. I know that you kind of just discovered us and we had these crazy music and crazy shows, but I had a life-changing moment back in the year 2000. And I went through 7 lung operations from drugs and cigarettes. And I started smoking, I guess, when I was about 12, and trying to live like my rock and roll heroes, all the dead guys, all that kind of jive. And my lungs kept collapsing, and they finally had to cement my lungs into my rib cage. And so about 2001, the artist's curse is suicide and depression, and that's something I have struggled with all my life. Went to a guy that I was working with, and I was struggling. I was just struggling with life because I was so used to being on drugs and doing all these things that I couldn't focus. I couldn't even have human contact conversation with someone without being on something. And this dude was like, "Man, have you ever tried Jesus?" And I was like, "Man, are you crazy? You can't see God or Jesus or none of that stuff. You're not going to catch me pushing a Bible around." And then, he was like, "Man, I went and stood on top of my apartment building that night and thought about jumping." It was like this, for me, it was like this Lieutenant Dan moment in Forrest Gump where he's like on the boat going, "It's either me or you, God, figure this out." He's yelling. And that was kind of this moment for me. I didn't have the courage to jump. And I went back to this guy the next day. His name was Philip, that I worked with at a factory. And I was like, "Man, you know what? Like, here's the deal. I've been through psychologists, psychiatrists. I've been in the Arkansas State Mental Institution for suicide, depression. I've been through surgery after surgery, hatred, anger, frustration. If your God doesn't change my life, then what will I do?" And he was like, "Man, you're thinking about this the wrong way. You're seeing church as just people that want money." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. That's what I see." He's like, "Man, here's the thing. Your whole life is a story. And God wants to use your life and your story to help someone else realize they're not alone on the planet, because so many people struggle and they get in their mind that they're the only ones on the planet that are struggling with this. It's almost like your mind becomes your own prison." And I was like, for whatever reason, when he said that, it really hit me like, wow, maybe I do have a purpose on this planet and I don't know what that is. And then he prayed a prayer with me. I was on my forklift at work, drug addicted forklift driver. That's what every boss wants, driving for him. And
I've seen it before.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. And he prayed with me, and that day something changed. It was like Discovery Channel, Ghost Hunters, just in an instant, it just snapped, and my life was different. And from that moment on, if it wasn't for that moment, I wouldn't even be doing what I'm doing today. So I'm certainly a believer, and I do try to put our spin and take. I came up from an Ozfest era, so I didn't grow up in church or the way Christianity is in churches now. And so I bring my flavor of where I grew up into a world and try to challenge people's thinking with that, humanity and justice. And I think that's important. And I think that's what good art should do. It should challenge people's thinking, and it should inspire people to dream big again.
Yeah, me and Randy both grew up in you were going to say something too, but we both grew up in the church type era.
Yeah. Well, my parents never really made me go to church or anything like that. In fact, I like to joke that Christian schools are the leading cause of atheism, because you can only beat someone over the head with the Bible for so long before they resent it.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. It blows my mind some of the ways that people, a lot of Christians are really weird and buckled down, because that's not the household I grew up in. That's not how I am to this day. My dad, I would go to church with my dad. Okay. My dad would be the loudest one. He would sit in the back and he would be the loudest one. Just imagine a preacher going on and dad's back there. "Come on now. Amen. Oh, you tell it. All right now. Come on now." And then we come home and clean up the house, and he'd put on Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. Well.
So he'd just come home from church, turn on the stereo. "Hey, Mom, I said the way you move." And
man, that's cool.
Yeah. And it's just so weird to me that it's like Led Zeppelin is the devil. I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I can totally identify with that, Randy. I went to, I didn't have to, well, I did have to go to church. That's what we did on Sundays. My parents made me go to church.
Same.
And then you had to dress up. We went to a Methodist church. And so, I was involved with the youth group. This is in the 80s too. So, you didn't have all the cool stuff you have at churches nowadays. And, but it's interesting. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna chime in with back when Dungeons and Dragons was the devil and Ozzy
Right.
was the devil, and if you tie your left shoelace before the right shoelace, that was the devil too.
Yeah. See, I was never taught that because like my dad had pretty good taste in music. We listened to Allman Brothers and Beatles. And, at the time when I was a kid, I didn't really, it was almost like your parents are listening to it. So I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
I was into, Metallica and a lot of, 80s metal bands. My dad used to always say, oh, that's bubblegum pop, son. But, it's different perspective for everybody. I mean, that's part of it too. If you would have told me that I was going to have a life-changing moment and still thank the Lord, for everything that's happened in my life through this journey. I mean, part of it is I feel like I'm on a mission. I feel like, why would I even be doing this if there wasn't out there to use music to share stories with people, just like we're having a conversation right now, or if there wasn't an opportunity to sharpen iron with someone or learn how to do something better, learn from your failures and your mistakes. I've made a ton of them. I've made a ton of them on this, and I've hurt many people, and you got to learn from it and grow from it. But if other people don't know those stories, or you're not sharpening iron with someone, I mean, ultimately you want other people to do greater things than you ever will. At least that's what I want, and that's not being a selfish musician, I guess, is in the rock and roll sense of it, but it's being a human being.
All right. Well, I'm 2 beers deep, and I've been reading a lot of C.S. Lewis. So,
yeah, baby.
Change the subject right now. This is going to turn into Bible study.
I love it, man.
We can go there, dude. I'm ready. We can go there.
I've done it too.
It's
man.
not really the.
I've gotten into it usually with old Kelsey Hudgens over there at the Kelsey Hudgens show. Me and him got into Bibles and churches and all kinds of stuff several times. But yeah, like I said, we all grew up in that. I did it for 18 years, and then my mom's a pastor. My grandpa's a pastor. My grandpa married me and my wife, so I definitely grew up with it in my family, And I don't know, I couldn't tell you the reason I fell out of it, but it's been a couple of years.
So your grandfather officiated the ceremony with you and your wife. You gotta. Because I officiated my sister's wedding ceremony, and when you have a thick Southern accent, you can't just go around saying "I married my sister."
Yeah,
you gotta be very precise when you're talking about that. That's
in Arkansas, that could roll over pretty good. Oh man!
But yeah, TD travels the country with his wife. You guys must get along pretty good. You're in a band together. You travel the country together. You tour. She's takes care of all the stuff, managing and all that stuff.
Man,
she get along pretty well.
Yeah, we've been married 19 years. January will be 20 years, and so we've been White Collar Sideshow for 14. So obviously, this has been the longest thing that we have done in our marriage together.
Yeah,
and so a lot of people would probably think, man, I don't think I could spend 24 hours a day with my wife, but my wife is, she's my best friend. We work really, really well together. She does the business, I do the creative, and then, it's just a great combination. She's someone who's for a lot of the dreams that I've had. She's also someone in my life where I've had major failures, has also helped me become a rock again and get back into, or she's been a rock in my life. I'll put it that way. You get back to my roots and get back up off the ground and keep going. And I just, man, I can't thank her enough. She managed, when we first got married, we had odds and ends jobs. I worked at a factory. And then I started working at this music store. I was the drum salesman at a music store. And I worked there for 5 years. That's your dream job as a drummer, right? Like it was called Sigler Music. It was a mom and pop shop, but they had 3 shops in Arkansas. and similar to like a Guitar Center, but smaller. But I had this cool drum shop where I had drums hanging from the ceiling. I mean, it was just awesome. And my boss hired her to start managing their online business. And their online business just took off. I mean, crazy. They were shipping 300 or 400 packages a week all over the world, music gear. And I had just went to Minnesota and helped a festival out there, put some drums, backline some drums for Risen Drums. That's the company that sponsors us. And I played their drums since about 2002. And I was having all these crazy dreams about this drum and bass, this crazy show with this girl in this cage and this pig for a drummer and all this film stuff. And I was like, Veronica, we should do this with our life, man. Let's at least make some t-shirts or something. And she's like, hell no, man. Are you on drugs? Like a chick in a cage and a pig and all these different ideas. And I'm like, and again, like Slipknot was big back, starting off back then. And I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, I would wake up every night and I would write these dreams down. And these dreams ultimately became the blueprint for our first EP and going into our second album. And she called me when I was in Minneapolis one day, and we were at a church. She was at church, and she called me and said, man, God told me to jump today. And I was like, okay, where are you jumping to? She said, well, we had a guy come and speak at the church and said, if your life was a bumper sticker and you could only put one phrase in that bumper sticker, what would it read? And she was like, well, American Dreamer. Like, we already had a 4-bedroom house. We had 3 cars. I had a 66 Austin Healey in mint condition, hot tub, acre of land. Our future goals were a couple Harleys, trip to Vegas. That's what you're taught to have when you're a kid, all these things. And she said, you know what? My life as a bumper sticker is the American Dreamer. And I feel like I'm not changing the world in any way. I feel like all I'm doing is for us and just me and selfishness. And literally we would come home and look at each other and we would look like zombies. I mean, we're just like, wow, we're coming home watching our TV shows. What else is there to do with our life? So she messaged me and said, look, I feel like God told me to jump. I feel like we should sell everything we own, get rid of everything we own, take these dreams on the road and figure out life this way. And I was like, woman, are you crazy? Are you on drugs? And we got back home. I got back home from Minnesota that day. That was in 2006. And that's what we did, man. It took us a couple years to get debt free. We eventually had a house with just a futon and a television, not a flat screen. They didn't have flat screens back when, or they were expensive back then.
Yeah.
But just a TV stand with a large TV and a futon. And what we didn't sell, we just gave it away. Moved into a 20-foot Winnebago with a trailer. Sold a car to do a recording of our first EP. Sold another car to do the film. Sold everything else to purchase this RV and our music gear, and started hitting the road and had no clue what we were doing. And we've been doing that ever since.
Yeah, I was gonna. One thing that we'd like to ask a lot of we've just started doing the whole having bands on and stuff. We've done a song of the week for a long time, and then we finally started getting with Angela and Cell and those guys at Curtain Call Records, and we're like, let's just start having some guys on. So we've been trying to come up with certain things to ask people here and there. But one question we like to ask bands is, what's the worst show you've ever had? Just because that's a fun one. Usually,
I'm trying to think of the worst show we've ever had.
Worst show or
we've
funniest?
had so many shows. Well, I guess I can say a funny moment. So I know you guys haven't researched us or do know what we do, but I play a 2-man saw blade in our show. You know what I'm talking about? Like, they're super long. Maybe back in the day, you had 2 dudes sawing down a tree. It would probably take all day. I saw
your TikTok with you holding one of them.
Yeah. So I still use one today. Yeah. So for about I've used one ever since the beginning of us started touring, and everybody loves to see the saw blade. And then so one show, you know, I don't know if this is funny to you guys. It's funny to me. I don't know how many shows this thing has been through. And so I'm banging on it. It's the start of one of our songs and it just snaps in half. I've never had anything do that. And it was like almost a scary moment for the audience, except I put my cowboy boot on one of the handles and I have the other handle in my hand so I can bend it. So when it snapped, it just snapped. And it looked like I was fixing to throw that saw blade right into the audience. And, you know, everyone's sitting right there. So everybody went, "Wah!" And then I thought that one on the foot was fixing to fly out too, but it didn't. It just went straight down. So it was just a interesting moment of saw blades and audiences and people. And we're a horror show back then too. We did a lot of horror movies that play behind us. So very Rob Zombie, 9 Inch Nails-ish. So of course, you know, you make a living scaring the audience in the first place. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's hard to remember, you know, been on the road for 12 years. So trying to remember a funny moment or a scary moment, the moments that irritate you is when the sound guys are sleeping. Like that's what is, you know.
Did you look at the audience and say, "Hey, you never saw that coming"?
They probably said that when we first got there.
But yeah, I mean, some of the people have come up with like, I don't know. There's been some pretty interesting stories when that question came up. But yeah, like most of the time they think of like the worst place they've ever played, like it was gross, yeah, or something like that.
Sure, that's
the saw blade one's pretty fun.
That's a lot of places for us. Plus, our drummer is a creepy pig, right? So he would wear a pig mask, and so some songs he would go out into the audience, and just the lights would be off, and there'd just be the film, and he would just come around and come up behind people and just be like, "Wah," and just scare it while the film's going on and all this stuff. And I mean, man, it was awesome.
Yeah, you guys, you're making it sound like more of a performance, like performance rock.
Yeah, it's kind of got that more of a theater, I guess. I mean, it's a show, it's a rock show, but it has a lot of theater elements. A lot of industry people have never known what to do with us, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
well, and the opposite of that question is, what's one of the best places you've ever played where you felt like, I don't know, maybe you felt the best, or the crowd was huge, or, you know, the coolest venue or something like that?
Yeah, for sure. I got a couple, man. Of course, we've done some touring in Brazil, and I would have to say Brazil across the board to me is hands down. We fit in very well there, and even though you don't speak the language, having film in your shows can really show people what you're trying to say. And man, it was just really cool because it was almost like, and it could be different now because we haven't been there in a couple years. Cell phones, like when you go to a show in the US, everybody's got their phone up, or they're on their phone.
Yeah.
And in Brazil, man, people put their stuff away and like hung out with you and were into what you were doing. So I would say Brazil across the board is pretty sweet. Chile was very similar to that too, pretty sweet. But I would say we played a festival in Poland called Slot Festival, and it was in a 12th century castle.
Oh, wow.
And the castle was so big, every stage of the festival was inside the castle. But what was super cool about the festival was they weren't just about like music at 10 o'clock in the morning and it goes on till 2 a.m. The castle was so big, they had people set up classrooms, and so during the day music wouldn't start till like 3 in the afternoon. During the day you could sign up to learn how to build a motorcycle engine, or go and blacksmith a knife. Like you could go do cooking. You could go and sign up for all these things because they were trying to show like what's it like to have community rather than just come party at a festival the whole time. Which I thought was really cool. And where everybody became unified at a festival rather than every man for himself, or you're going to a mosh pit and you're getting punched in the face by the drunkest dude. But what was super cool also about that festival, they had us as a headliner, and we didn't think anybody knew who we were there, which they probably still don't. But the stage was so big, all the lighting, the film was giant and the audience was just huge, and everybody's just, even though they don't know what you're saying, I mean, they're just dancing and having a blast. And I'll never forget that, man. I feel like, you know, we don't make a lot of money in the music business. There's just no money unless you become Justin Bieber, and all of those things are lottery tickets. So you live to survive. That's why we live in our vehicle, because there's no overhead. But I would say that getting to go and perform in these different countries and getting to play in front of audiences and seeing things, culture, and having currency and different things is the payment. That's the gift that I might have never seen in my life. You know, this is, that's to me a success. And I hope, you know, COVID ends and we get to go back to a lot of these places. And, but building relationships and letting music do that, man, that's what success is about to me.
That festival sounds awesome. I wish I could do something like that someday. I've never left the country though.
Yeah, no kidding. Where was this again?
Poland.
Yeah, it was in Poland. Man, Poland has one of the biggest festivals. It's actually called Woodstock, believe it or not, and I think it's 500,000 people go.
Wow.
A lot of Europe have the biggest festivals because the countries are so small. I mean, you know, it's a different ballgame.
Poland sometime.
Oh man, you got to get out of this country, and then when you come back, you'll be like, "Wow, even poor people here have 3 cars."
I've been throughout the country. I think I've about same states as you guys, around 46, 48, somewhere in there. But you guys aren't, as far as success, I mean, you guys aren't doing too bad. You're verified on Facebook and Twitter. I don't know what's going on with your Instagram, but
yeah, man, you know, my wife does a lot of that stuff. All of those things it's funny. Like right now we've got a song on the charts, which is amazing. Yeah. And something that, again, that you dream about when you're a kid, when you get into rock and roll music. And then I was just invited into the Grammy nominating committee this year, which is something that is very, very honorable. And I'm super stoked about that. You know, a guy that lives in a truck is able to do something like that. So like this year has been really a lot of gifts. I mean, I think that's been I think for us, you know, again, that would be how a lot of people in the industry measure success. For me, it's like, wow, we've been doing this for 14 years. We've been working our tails off this whole time, you know, 24 hours a day, 8 days a week. And people will say to me, "Hey, since COVID's hit, do you think you're going to get a real job?" And I'm like, "Oh, this isn't a real job. I'm working 24 hours a day, 8 hours. It just never ends. It's just so busy all the time." And so it just shows like hard work does pay off. And even if this was the tippy top of everything of those kinds of successes, I'd still be creating, and I'd still be writing, and I'd still be trying to figure out what's next. What's the next step?
Yeah, you guys been. I just a second ago, because we played your song our last episode, and I didn't want to do the same one. We like to play the song of the person we have on the show, so I was going to do a different one this week because we played "Bring Out Your Dead" on our last episode. So I just didn't want to.
Well, thanks for playing our stuff, man. We certainly.
Oh, yeah, we love it. Yeah, we like I said, we started doing that like 2 years ago, and Curtain Call Records just kept hooking it up with great stuff every week, and Song of the Week has been awesome. I love doing it, and it gets it's just a couple more eyes and ears on people trying to do their thing, you know.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think
if I can help out in any way possible, I'm gonna try my best, you know. So I love music, so.
Curtain Call's been a good company for us. We just were hanging out with them in Memphis, close to, well, not really Memphis. It was really close to Mississippi and the Tennessee border. So, but John and Gigi is who we were hanging out with, and got to finally meet them in person like a week ago. And it's been nice. They're super cool people. And it's good to have, like, I feel like we're a band that scratches and claws. Like, that's what we're doing all the time, figuring out how to keep going, figuring out how to keep doing this. And I feel like they do that for us too, and a lot of their bands. And so it's super cool that you guys are hooked up with them. I think it's awesome.
We love them. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun doing the Song of the Week. I was gonna ask, what have you guys been doing? You know, with kind of downtime, not really, but Corona time, are you been recording and writing songs and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've been in Fort Smith, Arkansas. I've been doing some pre-production work at a studio called 221. And man, they have been very kind and generous to us. And it's been actually a really good team. We have also, like, our routine is, we have a routine. Like, we get up, we work out in the morning. Just so you know, I'm 45 years old. So in order to keep up with the 20 somethings that are out there as a performer and singing and drumming at the same time.
Yeah.
And you got to stay in shape. You got to eat right. There's a lot to our routine that is, that has challenged me in the last 5 or 6 years to be able to do this for a living at this age. And so our routine, that's it, man. Get up, work out. We sit down, we figure out what's going on for the day, interviews, podcasts, writing music, coming up with creative ideas as far as the drumming stuff goes, and coming up with the ideas for our future album and future films. And that stuff never ends. And then you're constantly messaging people. Hey, will you play this? Hey, will you listen to this? Hey, you guys, like using the things that are happening to try to keep going, to try to keep momentum happening. And that's for all the thousands of no's that you get. You know, you might get a yes, and then all the empty promises that happen, you might get something super cool. So it's hard work. And my wife, for one, never sleeps. Like, she is the Energizer Bunny. You know, we finally took a day off, I guess, after 3 months of COVID, which is interesting because a lot of people think musicians have a day off every day. But for us, how hard we work is what shows what's paying off. And we took a day off and felt guilty for that. So, like, even our pastor is like, man, you guys, you've got to learn how to take days off because you're going to work yourselves to death. Yeah. And you don't recognize it or realize it, you know, until you get sick or something. It's like, wow, I need a break. So that's us, man. That's us. You know, we've been going back and forth, and our producer that we work with is in Los Angeles. He's done our last couple albums, also the album Bring Out Your Dead on it. And that's another studio that we work with. His name's Chris Baseford, and he's mostly known. He works with Avril Lavigne and Nickelback, and he's done some work.
I was going to ask about that. I read that on your bio earlier.
He works a lot with Rob Zombie, or he has worked with Rob Zombie, Tommy Lee, a lot of different artists. And I certainly enjoy working with him, and I have learned a lot from him. Consider him a great friend. And so working with this studio in Fort Smith and then being able to work with him in LA is just something that, you know, for me, it's finding people who get what's going on in your head and are able to grab those ideas out and put them, and you're like, wow, I need this guy on my team. And it's finding those teammates, the encouragers, the people who challenge you to get better and better. And if we don't have that, man, we get stale, you know, not just in music life, but in everyday life.
Yeah. Got any questions, Randy?
No, but we're about 40 minutes in, and I already have to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
So for those of you playing at home with your small town mentality bingo cards, go ahead and mark that one off. I'll be right back.
Yeah, he does that sometimes.
Hey, man, when you 2 beers,
man,
you break the seal.
Yeah, we've got we're trying to do some small town mentality bingo for the things that we do on the show every week. You know, every time we say we suck or something like that, or Randy has to go to the bathroom, but
love it, man.
So what are, like, do you have anybody in mind that you've worked with in the past, like shared a stage with, that was just something you'll never forget? I know, because you said you've done a lot of festivals and stuff. I was like, who are some of the people you've enjoyed sharing a stage with, or, you know, going after?
Man, I have, yeah. Gosh, we played with so many bands.
I figured, yeah. I ask 2 generic questions, I guess. Especially with somebody with.
Those are good questions. Those are really good questions because they make you have to think. And you know, what's funny about music is always seems like it's in the future. Like, you're always booking 6 months out. You're always waiting. You're always waiting. So when you have to go into the past it kind of makes you go, oh man, I haven't thought about that in a long time. There's a couple bands. There's a band called Living Sacrifice that we've played with a few times, that has been inspirational in my life. Before I was a believer, saw them open up for Soulfly, Head PE, Snot back in like '96. Bought one of their CDs, and I started reading the words, and I was like, "This is Christian music." What?
Yeah.
I was so upset that they sold me on like a message. And then when I became a believer, you know, people like what Randy was saying earlier, people are like, man, you got to get rid of your music and all this stuff. And I had gotten rid of all my music. And I was like, man, why did I do that? But I remembered there was this band that I had listened to, Living Sacrifice, super heavy. I mean, I didn't even know there was Christian music like that. And it really inspired me to do what I do, to keep being who you are, and putting your twist on what it is that you do, and letting like the Lord direct you through that process. And that's been something really inspirational to me, and even to know those guys, and after all these years, and see how that's worked. But there are many bands in our life, locally from Fort Smith, radio DJs that are in our life, radio stations that we've played with that really get what you do and you sharpen iron with. And a lot of times I feel like I'm more of a mentor than a musician, because so many artists come up and ask questions like, how do you do this? How are you living this way? How are you booking? How are you doing these things? And I've already got like on my Facebook message, I've got all these answers already saved, because I get asked questions so much. Oh, yeah. And oh man, and I'll go and send them like, and they'll be like, wow, you guys are hard workers. And it's like, I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just saying that this is what we do to survive. And but another band that I played with that's very memorable is a band called Skillet. And
I was gonna say, like, those are some of the people I grew up with: Skillet, Reliant K, Chevelle. Those are the bands that I listened to when I was a teenager.
Skillet's doing amazing things. They're on giant tours.
I went saw them live for when they came out with Monster, I believe.
Yeah, they're touring in this moment with, you know, I've seen them on festivals with Slipknot. Like they're just huge. But my 35th birthday, we got to play. Skillet was the headliner, and there's probably 10 or 12,000 people in the audience, and we actually got to play after Skillet. We always say, yeah, we played after Skillet, you know. But it was my 35th birthday in Kentucky, and it was really cool because everyone was there to see Skillet, but there were so many people packed in that no one could really leave when we started. So we had a giant audience, and it was something that I'll never forget. You know, my brother messaged me after that show. He said, man, I saw you out there with so many people. And I said, yeah, and tonight we're playing for 2 people. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what you get in the music world. You never know what you're going to get.
That reminds me of like comedians and stuff. I listen to a lot of comedians and comedy podcasts, and they'll say like, "Oh, I just did Jimmy Fallon or whatever," and then the next night they do a bar show. You know,
never know. You never know.
They just go do another spot. It's like, all right, that was cool.
That's exactly right, man. A job's a job.
Yeah.
Sorry, you beat me to it. I was gonna say it's about the same thing in comedy, but yeah.
Yeah.
Randy,
I mean,
Randy has been doing comedy for like 5 years.
What? Really? Come on, man.
Yeah. I've been enjoying comedy for that long.
Yeah, we love comedy. Like even when we were in LA, we went to the comedy store out there, and comedians, man. It's the same as music. Like you're scratching and clawing to survive, you know.
Yeah, close to the same lifestyles, anyways. Traveling around, you know, touring.
Yeah, for sure.
Anywhere you can get some stage time.
Yeah.
Hey man, we played a barbershop in Brazil. You know, they were like, "Hey, let's do a show at the barbershop," and I'm like, "Barbershop? Okay."
Honestly, that'd be a pretty cool gig to see.
It was awesome, man. The barbershop was cool too. It was like a hipster, you know, throwback where they had some motorcycles in there, and
nice.
You know, that 50s style.
Have you guys ever? What are you gonna say?
Have you ever heard of a barber saloon?
Yeah, they had beers there.
Yeah, I think so.
Found out about those. I think it was last month, man. It blew my mind. I've got to check one of those out.
Yeah.
Shoot, yeah, might get a haircut while you're there.
Have you guys ever played Salt Lake City?
We have played Salt Lake City. Let's see. We
That's the
played.
closest place to us that we could
Okay.
see anybody live. That's why I'm asking.
We played Salt Lake City, and we played a couple times. We played a couple churches there. We have some good friends that play in a band or did play in a band called Sleeping Giant. They're from there.
Okay.
And then we played. I'm trying to think of the name of the band. We opened up for a band called Creep, and Creep was two of the original members of White Zombie. It was the drummer Igor, and I think that was his name, if I'm not mistaken, and the guitar player, and then the singer was from a band called Bile, and oddly enough, a friend of ours that worked at the racetrack from Fort Smith. Do you know the racetrack, Miller, I think it is, that's in Salt Lake City, the big giant NASCAR track?
Yeah.
He was the director there. He booked us for that show, and man, so yeah, we know Salt Lake. And my wife's best friend lives in I think it's Layton or Lawton, however you pronounce it, right outside Salt Lake City. Yeah. And so we've been there many, many, many times.
Yeah, that's the closest place to us that we could ever see live music. Yeah, that's where I saw Skillet, was at the Salt Air there. And then, but I've been to many concerts since, all at the Complex. So the Complex is a pretty cool spot.
Yeah, we went and saw the Jazz play one night. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know
Utah
about the
Jazz.
Yeah.
Oh, we weren't there to see them. It was we're big Miami Heat fans at the time, so we went and saw Miami.
I saw the Jazz play a couple of times when they were playing. They're playing my Kings though.
The Kings guy, come on, man.
Well, I was born outside of Sacramento, so I took it upon myself to stay close to home, I guess.
See, we're big Arkansas Razorback fans. So Corliss Williamson played for the Kings, and he's from Arkansas. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've lived in Wyoming for 31 years, so I mean, I'm not really from California, but it's just where I was born.
And it messes me up every time someone says they watch the Jazz play or they got Jazz tickets or whatever, because I'm not from around here, and B, I grew up, probably about 30 minutes away from where Dizzy Gillespie was born, 20 minutes away from where Coltrane was born, and maybe an hour away from where Nina Simone was born. So you say Jazz and you have Jazz tickets, I'm like, okay, who's playing?
Yeah, right. Yeah, man. So like New Orleans has been a second home to us for I guess since about 2009. So the way that we travel, so Nashville's a second home, New Orleans is a second home, Fort Smith is our PO box, Minneapolis has been a second home, and that's kind of these little circles that we kind of stay in, going place to place and town to town. Well,
if you guys ever do Salt Lake again, message me on Facebook or something. We'll come see you.
Yeah, for sure. So Randy,
if we can get you into Evanston, Wyoming, which I doubt.
There's a couple places here.
Oh man, I'm down. We love Salt Lake, man. We'd love to come jam here. Or jam there. I'm not here. Randy, where are you from then?
South Carolina.
South Carolina, baby.
Small town called McCall.
All right.
Yeah.
So did you grow up a South Carolina fan, like sports fan?
Oh hell, the Panthers, for example, they weren't a thing until I was almost in middle school, or about halfway through middle school. So before that, the closest thing we had was the Falcons.
Gotcha. What about college?
See, that's the thing, because after high school, man, I've had friends that went to play for both Carolina and Clemson, so I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting caught in that turf war, man. That's pretty messed up. I mean, gun to my head, Carolina, but I ain't got no hard feelings against Clemson.
Gotcha. Oh man, Clemson's hot too.
The rivalry is fun, man, but I don't take it as far as some guys do.
Love it. See, in Arkansas, man, there's not really. I mean, you got your AAA baseball and things like that, but there's no pro sports. So the closest thing is either like Dallas Cowboys or Kansas City Chiefs, or in those areas. And so you just grow up a diehard Razorback fan, even if you never went to college there. That's the jam. And so we are diehard Arkansas Razorback fans. Even when they're last, they are first.
Yeah, My fiance's sister lives in Arkansas, and she sent us a bunch of like Razorback swag.
Nice, man.
Coffee mugs.
Pajamas.
Yeah, I don't think we got pajamas, but
I forgot what I was gonna say. Pajama thing got me.
PJs, JJ Abrams.
I was gonna try.
I got to segue back into this, man, because I got to point this out. Because last week I went off on a rant about JJ Abrams and what a piece of shit he was, and how everything he touched just turned to crap by the end. It always fizzled out. Like I didn't think he ever had a plan. Got took to church about that, man, because somebody was like, okay, Lost fizzled out because of the writer's strike. I think it was someone on the air. I think it was the what's his face? The guy doing your tattoo.
Jacob.
I wanted to call him Jason. Yeah, but I think it was him. He pointed out that Abrams didn't have anything to do with the sequels to the Cloverfield movies. And I think those were the main two things I was bitching about. So JJ, I know you're not listening. No one is listening. But JJ, if you're listening, you are re-invited to my birthday party. I take it all back.
Last week I got I'll try to show the camera, but I got a tattoo of our logo live on the show.
Oh, come on, man. That's cool to do it live.
Yep.
Yeah, we had Jacob come in from Taboo
or you could
Tattoo.
show him your shirt.
That too, yeah. It's on my shirt
And
also.
you can find lovely shirts like this at the Drama City Productions website.
Yeah.
And other nice small town mentality merch.
Randy said we need to start pushing our merch. How you guys doing on merch? You doing all right on merch?
We usually do better when we're actually performing, but actually, we've done a couple videos, merch videos, just saying, hey, look, it's not just about us supporting us, but there are many artists out there who are, the entertainment world's going to be the last to open back up. The restaurants might be second to last, but it's not just about supporting us as artists, but go support your favorite artist. Go buy something from them. So, keep going, man. And so it's the same with you guys. You guys are in the entertainment industry. And I totally agree. I mean, that helps keep food on the table. It helps keep creating new merch too. For us, merch usually goes back into merch. And so, it's how we roll.
Like 2 shirts, maybe.
Yeah.
One of them was to me.
No, that's the thing. Entertainment's gonna be one of the last things to open back up, but at the same time, it's the only thing keeping us sane right now, man.
That's true.
Oh man, Netflix is huge right now, right?
Yeah. Netflix.
I'm more of a Hulu fan. Hulu, HBO.
I've just been binging the shit out of YouTube lately. It's just I don't know. There's just something about that freaking homegrown humor. When there's just some guy coming up with ideas. Like I've been rewatching Brandon Rogers, like going all the way back to the beginning when it was just him. He was still a little bit heavy, and it's just freaking inspiring. I've gotten like a bunch of shit written down that I want to do. I'm probably not going to do it. Let's be honest. I'm very lazy.
I'm a movie junkie for sure, man. I see movies like songs. So, I'm definitely, I've got, like my buddy let me borrow his HBO. So I've kind of been going into that. And then Hulu and then Amazon Prime, of course. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, because this is a great time for an outbreak in the middle of the freaking streaming wars when everything, you got to subscribe to Disney for one freaking show. And then you got to subscribe to the fucking CBS All Access for another show. And then you got to subscribe to Amazon. And then you got to subscribe to, whatever the fuck ever. And now, of all the fucking times, can we just put this on hold for a minute?
I feel like I was holding back quite a lot, and I feel like maybe we should apologize for the swearing, but this is a rated R show. So
why would you apologize?
I don't know. We got into a lot of Christian stuff in the beginning, and I was like, oh no, now I feel bad.
Oh, by the I will share this, man, because I learned this recently, man. As you know, there's a good chance that Jesus was black.
Yeah.
And
true.
I found out recently that the word yo goes all the way back to ancient Rome.
Yo.
So I just love imagining like the part in the Bible where they were about to stone the woman that they caught in the act of adultery.
Uh-huh.
And it's black Jesus going, yo, whoa, hey, yo, what are you doing? Stop that.
Getting our history lesson.
Identifiable to me.
Love it, man.
I relate to that. That's
getting our history.
Now I'm just trying to come up with more bits about Yo and Roman times, but
I think those are my favorite. I love the period movies are probably my favorite. Like, you know, like Gangs of New York is probably one of my favorite movies. If I was on death row, that'd probably be something that I would like, maybe steak dinner watching Gangs of New York.
I was thinking the wrong kind of period movie, but I get where you're
going. Oh man.
Right. I love when I make a off joke like that and I look over at Randy and I just
he's stumped.
Oh no, I was just remembering how one of the characters in Gangs of New York was called the Butcher.
Yeah, Bill the Butcher, man.
And full circle.
Trying to piece that into a period joke since you wanna go there.
Wow, good stuff.
Something about liking his meat bloody. I don't know. I got nothing. I need a couple of days usually to process these things. No, see, that's the fucked up thing though, because I want to watch movies, and every time I start a movie, something happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's a movie on Netflix called Mute.
And you left it on mute?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I actually turned it up really loud and still didn't hear shit. I guess the movie didn't tip me off. No, but it's like a detective noir type feel to it. Except those old detective noir movies, it's a lot of narration, and you know, in this movie, the main character's mute, so you know he can't all
narration. He
can't talk. He doesn't narrate. You know,
really?
Yeah. And so it's a really interesting spin on the whole, you know, film noir type thing. And every time I start this damn movie, I'm about an hour away from finishing it, and something happens. And you know,
like bathroom breaks.
Like I'll get a call from a family member, and it's like fucking 2 a.m. their time. So I know something's up if I don't answer. You know, you don't answer the phone, and it's 2 a.m. You know, on the East Coast, you know,
4
they're behind us. No, it's 4 or 2 their time.
Oh, okay.
So you know, because they're behind us.
Man, the possibility of every time that movie, you're an hour in, and then your family member calls. Man, that is that's uncanny.
No, it's not just a family member calls, or you know, Emily will come home from work. She wants to watch something else. You know, I'm not gonna sit there and make her finish a movie that she didn't even see the beginning of, and I'm not restarting the damn movie. Okay.
I always finish a movie. It doesn't matter how bad it is. I've said this before. I could be watching the world's worst movie ever made, and if I make it like 20 minutes in, I'm gonna finish it. And I'm gonna be like, that sucked to watch, but
I'm usually the same way. Except there is one movie that I walked out of that was like I would never say I've walked out of a movie before, but the Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, the Sherlock Holmes movie that they did, Holmes and Watson or whatever. Oh my gosh, it was absolutely horrific.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I've heard it was terrible. I've heard people were just walking out in droves, and I'll be honest, man. Will Ferrell, I like him on Saturday Night Live, but for some reason his movies never got me. It's like Talladega Nights and Anchorman were the only two that he did that I really liked.
Old School was probably the last one I liked from Will Ferrell.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Old School's good.
Yeah. I actually haven't seen Old School, so I guess I need to put that one on to do.
But he wasn't the main character either, so that might be a part of it.
Maybe.
Might have helped.
For many years, it was horror films for me. I was big into horror, even the old classics, the old black and whites, all the way up to, you know,
black and whites were better. I mean, that's just me.
Well, there's a lot of it is the shock factor these days. It's trying to find the diamond in the rough that's actually got a good story and a good, you know.
I just wish black and whites could get along.
Okay.
We got to work on bridging that gap, don't we?
I can't get a joke out of that, man, because now I'm focused in on how, like, because around the time of Hostel and Saw and everything, it just became straight torture porn.
Yeah.
And you know, there has to be more to horror than that. I mean, especially when you go back to the old school shit. I mean, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was gory. It was gritty. It had the blood and guts, but that's not all there was to it. It didn't rely entirely on that.
I liked Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, Young Frankenstein is genius. It's a great movie. Well, even Frankenstein in general, the OG. I mean, there's a silent film of Frankenstein even before the Frankenstein that we all know, the Boris Karloff, and it's super cool too for silent film and all the tricks that they did for back then. But even Frankenstein, I mean, that movie scared people. There's nothing ever like that. And so there's a scare, and then how do you keep building on scare tactics, And I was always a Freddy Krueger guy. I liked he scared me when I was a kid, so I was always scared of him popping up somewhere.
Well, one of the things I like, one of the things I like now is that they have horror games. I'm just fascinated with the idea of horror video games, because it's not just passively experiencing the story by watching like the final girl open the door and run upstairs when she should be running out the fucking front door. Now it's you.
Yeah.
You want to criticize shit, tough guy. Why don't you take a moment in the driver's seat and see how well you do in this scary situation? And it's amazing how fast it gets in your head.
Have you seen the
and
VR
nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen because it's just a video game, but you're scared of being scared.
Right.
It is just a whole new fucking level of scared, but you're immersed in it because you're the one moving down the hall. You're the one opening the doors. You're the one doing all this shit.
Yeah.
Not to mention that regular video games, they reward you with that shot of endorphins whenever you accomplish something or you feel like you passed a level. This game hits you with them endorphins, but it fucking punishes you when you fuck up. And that's what I love about them.
See, I never had and I still to this day, I have a Nintendo 64. Like I've never had anything more than a Nintendo 64. So I've still got, NFL Blitz, GoldenEye, Smash Brothers. So I wouldn't know what, playing. Now, I'm not saying that I haven't played like Call of Duty and things like that, but everyone they kill me on Call of Duty because I don't know what to do. There's so many buttons and there's so many things.
I apologize for that. Me and my wife get down on some Call of Duty every weekend. We're straight gamers, man. We put up the camp chairs in the living room. We both got headsets and we just go in it all night.
See, it's something I gotta learn. And now I feel like I'm already too far behind the times,
Yeah, I still have a 64. I hooked it up for my kid. He didn't know what to do.
Yeah. Didn't know how to hold the controller.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No,
I grew up playing all that same stuff though.
I never had a 64.
No?
I had the
OG NES?
Well, I had the NES, I had the Super NES, and then Sega Genesis, and then it went straight to PlayStation.
Yeah, Sega Genesis, man, I remember that. So
I had some great times on NES. Me and my brother playing Ninja Turtles and Mario and all that stuff.
I had Atari, man, when it first came out. Well, I say when it first came out, it was already out like 2 or 3 years, but then I got an Atari. Pong was pretty sweet. Talk about scary.
Now we had an Atari, but it wasn't like new or anything. I think we found it secondhand and picked it up. And this was when the NES was still the thing, and we just picked it up. And we had Bubblegum something and Dig Dug were the 2 games we had for it.
You were talking about merch earlier, and you were also talking about merch earlier. It reminded me that I saw this page on Instagram. We follow each other. It's called custompogs.com.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about getting some STMP pogs. That would be dope to just hand out to people.
Come on.
I don't think they have slammers, but they definitely got pogs. Wouldn't it be cool to have a logo pog?
Sure.
Do you remember pogs?
I guess.
You're a little bit older than us.
Hey, now.
Big.
I'm not sure what I'd do with the small town mentality pog, though. I'd probably carry it around in my freaking pocket like it's my 12-week chip or something.
There you go. Yeah, perfect.
I'm trying to think of another game system. What was the handheld?
The Game Boy?
Game Boy.
Game Boy, that's right.
I had some of those.
Dude, I found my Game Boy when I went home for Christmas.
Was it color or?
I was going through. No, it was the original.
Original?
Yeah, I never had the Game Boy Color.
Yeah, I didn't either,
It had
man.
the back on it, but it still freaking worked.
Nice.
And I'm like, I should bring this back to Wyoming with me. And then I'm like, I got Tetris on my phone. What am I doing?
Yeah.
It's literally the only game in there is Tetris. I'm not.
And you could probably download all the free different versions of Tetris that there is.
Well, you can get like NES emulators on your phone through the Google Play Store, and then you can just download like original Mario, Sonic, all that stuff. Actually, Sony, or not Sony, Sega came out with all of their old games for your phone, like a phone game.
Oh, cool.
I actually downloaded Sonic not too long ago.
And I actually came so close to bringing that controller
that
I use on my phone when I'm playing games, but yeah. But
Man,
you can get one of those, and it's pretty much the same as playing it on Sega. I mean, it's smaller and
Well, like I was saying, NES, you have to get an emulator. Sony actually built apps for your phone. They came out with all of their original games.
So you had the Sonic the Hedgehog, Golden Axe.
Love Golden Axe, man.
See, I never had these games.
My head.
Oh, you never played Sega?
I remember. I mean, I knew Sonic the Hedgehog. I played that before, but yeah, I never got into the Sega thing.
Did you see the movie that came out? The new movie last
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
The internet bullied them into changing the entire character.
The internet didn't bully them. The internet did not bully shit. Okay, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this fucking toxic fan rhetoric. Okay, no, the internet. You know what the internet said? Sony said, "Hey, here's a trailer for our new film. This is the product that we are selling. Here's what you got to look forward to. Enjoy the preview of the product that we intend to sell you." And everybody said, "We're not fucking buying that. That doesn't look anything like Sonic. It looks like fucking Nightmare Photic, and we're not fucking buying it." You know. And Sony, in a moment of unprecedented brilliance, said, "Hey, fuck it, we'll change it, and we'll make it. We'll make the character look more like the character from the video games."
My kids love that movie. I had to watch it like 10 times,
and it worked. And I haven't seen the film, but everybody I know who's seen the film loved it.
Yeah, it was good,
and said it was really good. And it's like, how fast did that ship go towards fucking sinking just because of that shitty character design?
Jim Carrey made a great Dr. Egghead.
Man, but see, like my son is 23 years old, so like I wouldn't watch Sonic probably unless I had kids.
Nostalgia.
Well, true, I guess. If they had
Jim Carrey,
they had a Super Mario movie come out, I'd probably be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool."
It did come out.
Yeah,
it's called Super Mario Bros. It was in the 90s, and everybody hated it except for this guy.
It was your jam.
It's actually gotten more of a following lately, and I'm not sure what the hell's happened.
It's the cult classic.
I love it. I always loved it.
Either the nostalgia goggles are strong, or we truly are in the middle of idiocracy that movie has gotten.
Me and my wife went to Walmart today. They had MTV windbreaker jackets in all kinds of different colors. So the 90s are definitely coming back.
MTV.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of idiocracy, my son and I and my wife watched that movie a couple days ago.
Oh, nice. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's great.
It has electrolytes.
Yes, it does. Oh man. And then we also watched something that was fantastic. I actually watched it 2 days in a row. It was the new Beastie Boys documentary.
Oh, nice.
Man,
love me some Beastie Boys.
So good.
We used to bump. We would cruise around town. You know, we call it cruising. I think every town does something similar, and we just do the strip. You know, and we would bump Girls just over and over again. Love that song.
Oh man, I don't know if they could get away with that song these days.
Yeah, probably not. But we used to do it we'd cruise around with my pastor and bump it, and he'd tell us to turn it down. He's like, "Stop that." That's fun.
Oh man,
I'm just picturing having your pastor sitting there when it's checking my D to my dismay.
Ding ding ding.
See, my pastor would have been like, "Yeah, I've been there.
All we really want is girls."
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah, wasn't born a pastor, dude. I was a teenager once.
Oh man,
true. That's true.
That album came out, I think, 7th grade, man.
That's a good one. I enjoyed it. Also, I remember getting down on some It's Tricky. Was that?
Yeah, Run DMC.
Yeah, I fucking love it. That was my jam for a long time.
It's a good tune. Classic.
Shout out to Chance over here, who loves you guys.
Yeah, man. Chance, he has an MMA gym back in Fort Smith. Showdown
Nice.
MMA. We reconnected. Like, I knew him from a town that I graduated in called Boonville, Arkansas. And
Boomville, that sounds like an awesome town.
yeah, man, it was. Well, I'll just leave it to your thoughts because
Yep.
it's quite self-explanatory.
I was thinking some really cool stuff.
Yeah, man. Chance and I've known each other for years. But his gym, he's got a sweet gym out there, and it's just killer stuff. So these drum videos I've been working on, I was thinking about maybe going to his gym and actually, instead of taking sticks, like putting on some gloves and punching out beats like on some of the bags, or maybe taking the ropes and making some sounds, and
Nice.
trying to flip it to where it's still a drum video, but it's I don't know, more using the things that are there to make the sounds.
I know you said you're pretty sure you deleted your TikTok, but I think your drum videos on there are super underrated. They should have got a lot more than they did, to be honest. Maybe that's my personal opinion, but I loved them. I thought it was creative, and they should have definitely done a lot more. Maybe it was the algorithm or something. Upload them again with some hashtags. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's how it works, right? Like, the more you post, the more things.
Yeah,
I guess so. You basically got to spend all your time all day long on a social media platform to be able for it to do well. But I'll probably still keep posting those videos there. I guess
maybe try some other locations, because Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, you can have videos on all those things. Maybe just cross-platform all those videos and see if you can get some more eyes on them, because I thought they were pretty cool.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I really do. I think Facebook is obviously our biggest. A video that would have 80,000 views has 300 on YouTube. So it's it's just two different worlds of audience.
Just depends on where you're at, I guess. Go where the audience is.
It also, I think it depends on your age too.
And every account I'm hearing is saying that the YouTube game is basically rigged at this point. So
yeah, I think
we're on YouTube right now. Nobody's watching. I can almost promise you that.
Is that right up there in the corner? What's that say?
I don't know what's it say. Which corner? Which one are we talking about?
We got a couple people watching.
I can't see. Describe it to me. These new contacts ain't going so good.
Yeah, all right. Well, we're gonna start winding it down. We don't want to keep you forever. I'm trying to think of something else to ask you to close it out. This is how our show goes.
If you could, I got one. If you could fight any musician.
Oh, there you go.
Not play with, not jam with, not talk to or have dinner with. I'm talking about if you could fight any musician, living or dead, who would it be?
Fight, man. Hard
part. You're gonna
here.
get in a scrap with.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. That's the hardest part, man. I don't know. Let me think here. If I had to fight any musician, give me Michael Jackson.
Okay. I would sumo wrestle Elvis.
I was gonna say that.
It has to be sumo though, because that guy had like 3 black belts or some shit, man.
I feel like Michael Jackson was kind of cheating. The guy was weak. He's pretty weak, man.
Well, you got to know me too, man. I got to take some. I feel like
cancer physique.
I guess.
I feel like Michael Jackson he'd be like, "Man, what are you doing?" And I'd be like, "I don't know, man. Let's just write some tunes."
He could probably shuck and jive with his dance moves, like blocking all your stuff. I was trying to do. I can't do a Michael Jackson move. What am I doing? I'm like awkwardly doing this.
Speaking of fighting, did you guys see that Mike Tyson's making a comeback?
I heard about that.
I heard that he
was had a Holyfield, right?
I don't know. I heard he had a weed farm though in California.
Or not Holyfield. God, who was it? He said he was going to fight.
I can't recall, but he's looking he's looking big, man.
I mean, I'd like to see how that goes, man.
All right, I guess we'll start winding it down. I actually put all of your links in our YouTube and Facebook descriptions.
All right.
Oh, he's got another one.
Okay, if you could make a song, write a song with any fighter, Who
Ooh,
would it be?
great. That's great.
Because again, my answer is Elvis.
Elvis was a fighter?
Yeah, he had like 3 black belts or some ridiculous shit,
Mhm.
man. He was badass, actually.
Well, I guess the ultimate answer would have to be Chuck Norris, man.
Ooh, there you go.
Because you
I
know
bet
that song would kill.
I think he's probably got some country twang in there. Chuck Norris. He's actually one of the spokespeople for the company I work for. And I've heard on occasion we might get to meet him one day. That'd be cool. They did.
Maybe I'll write a song with Chance since he's watching.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Wondering about, since you mentioned MMA gyms, I was wondering how the MMA gyms are doing right now. And I'm like, duh, altitude masks. Why not just go in with an elevation mask, kill 2 birds with 1 stone?
There you go. I heard that they were some of that stuff was like also going to be one of the last to open, like gyms and things like that.
Well, some of them are open again. They just got to be real
Everything
careful.
here is open.
Yeah.
I don't know about everywhere else, but our town never closed. Everything.
Not really.
Everything's open.
Yeah, I don't
They
know
closed
about
the bars for a couple of weeks, and the restaurants were carry out for a while.
Even the bars that actually there was a certain bar that they put a bunch of cases to, like, oh, it all started here.
Yeah.
They're open again.
Yeah, I think like Nashville, there's big, signs downtown, the electronic signs that say wear a mask, it's the law. They've had to go back to phase 2 because Broadway, all the honky tonks, I think everybody was, hey, what's up, Clive and Daphne? They're from New Zealand.
Everybody's just now showing up.
I know, right?
You guys will have to go back and check the whole episode out.
But they've actually went back to phase 2. Like I think if you don't wear a mask, I heard that it's a misdemeanor now. So
really,
yeah, I mean, it's just everybody's just like nothing ever happened, just come out and party, and so they had to scale back.
Did the microphones pick that up?
I don't know. That was crazy.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
Oh, there's a band that rehearses upstairs. It happens every Friday. We have to tell the same story on the show every time. Every Friday, there's a band upstairs that gets real loud.
The mics never pick. We can hear them through the headphones, but our mics never pick them up, so it's not really a problem.
We're always like, "What is going on up there?"
But I think the mics might have picked up that last note.
That's awesome. So, like where we stay here in Nashville is right across from the fire department. So we hear the fire department, the ambulances, the police cars, just all night long. Man, everybody's jumping on right now.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
And I saw my friend Ginger's on here. I love her.
I'm guessing it just got shared a bunch more times or something. That's all right.
I promise you it was nothing I did because I think one of my Facebook friends joined my watch party. And
it's all you, Randy. You did it all.
Oh, man. Did you go when you got up, did you go get your 3rd beer?
No, I had to pee out the first 2.
We've been drinking, speaking of 90s nostalgia, me and Randy here have been drinking Surge. I'm going to hold it up here. That's an original Surge.
Man, that is old school.
Just kidding. That would suck if it was from the 90s. It'd probably be gross. But anybody that's feeling nostalgic today, I'm drinking a Surge for you.
Maybe that's it. I'm just hopped up on 30-year-old soda.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't think I'm still 30 years old.
That would explain why that radiator is melting.
I mean, it probably could stop your heart still, though.
Oh, man. When I was drinking, bourbon was my favorite. I mean, I liked going to. We would always do craft. Like if we were in a different city, we would go to that. Like if you're in Michigan, we'd go to Founders, or if we were in San Diego, we'd go to the Stone Brewery or whatever. Like figure out what the local brews are and things like that. And then I kind of became a bourbon snob on the road too. Like bourbon became my thing, and but I quit drinking. Like it's been over a year now.
Nice.
Yeah, it has been a game changer, actually.
I also quit drinking. It's been about a week.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm gonna start again tonight.
Took a week off, did you?
No, but that's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Well, I needed to. Not that I felt like I was an alcoholic, but I was just, sometimes things can consume you and can take you into some dark places, and you don't realize it until you stop doing it. And had some surgeries happen, and the doctor was like, "Man, drinking's not doing you any favors. Why don't you go ahead and cut that stuff out?" And challenged me a little bit, and I did. And man, focus and clarity are a whole new ball game. It's awesome, actually.
Yeah, I can go into some pretty dark places without any help.
That makes both of us, man.
Sometimes on those really long, drives, it's pitch black and you're just cruising and start getting into your own head, and you can go all kinds of places.
Yeah,
snap yourself out of it sometimes.
I start calling that the cartoon. My wife calls it when I get cartoony. And I know exactly what you're talking about.
Those times you're like, I could just drive this off the road, Anyways,
therapy has been a game changer for me. That's for sure, man.
I've thought about it a time or two.
It's been a couple years now, and definitely it has helped me get over a lot of guilt and shame, and really start to retune again and figure out suicide and depression. I always say that's the artist curse. And I mean, you guys know as well as I do in the musical world that there's a lot of tragedy. I feel like it's because a lot of musicians and artists put their heart and soul out there for everybody to see, and they don't really know the person behind all of that, and it's easy to stereotype and to cut people back when you don't know who they really are.
Yeah.
And it can be overwhelming, man. I mean, great songs are written about it.
Yeah, it's true. It's like they don't have a saying for it in music really, but in comedy they say tragedy plus time equals comedy. So it's kind of there's a part of that in music too, I believe, because you said a lot of great songs have been written about tragedy and things like that. So it's kind of the same concept. It just depends on where you put the energy. Put the energy into the music or the comedy or the.
I mean, I'm sure that Randy, you doing comedy as well. Like, you put a lot of your personal life into cracking jokes. What would almost be like on yourself. It's the same as me as a writer. Like, I write a lot about the things I struggle with or the things that have consumed me. And really what you're just trying to do is identify with somebody.
Yeah, I think the experience for me, because that's why I'm sitting here just looking back and forth, because you guys are talking about, and I'm good at finding humor in a dark place, but it usually has to be my dark place.
Yeah,
exactly.
But the way it works with me is once I've made a joke out of it, I can carry it. It's not gone. It's not completely, gone, like just blows away in the wind or anything. But once I make something into a joke or I make a joke out of it, it becomes lighter. I can carry it. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah,
put it in your fanny pack.
It's the same. It's the same as writing a song. Like once it's out there, it's almost like you've kind of released, even though what you wrote about. It releases some of that in a healthy way.
Yeah.
My favorite is. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I'm listening to you.
I was just gonna say my favorite is when you tell one of those jokes, and it's really based on something that actually happened to you, and you're finding humor in it, and then someone gets offended. I'm like, you're gonna get offended by me on my behalf? I mean, it didn't happen to you. Fuck you. Why do I? What the? If I can laugh at my pain, you can laugh at my pain. You have my permission. Do you need to know what's going on?
Did you just get offended at my tragedy?
Yeah, I'm thinking specifically of the OBGYN joke with Emily and that whole bit. But Jesus, she wrote half of it.
Yeah.
I started telling her, the jokes that were going through my head, and she just added on to it, and I'm just sitting there with a notepad and pen. I've said a million times, she's funnier than me.
Yeah, you guys riffing.
She just doesn't have any desire to go on stage or make jokes.
Emily's usually it's his fiance, but she's usually also our producer.
Okay, so you're just going to dox her right now. I mean,
Yeah.
she'd been doing it anonymously for the last. So
well, I've said Emily before.
Yeah, I know.
She said it's fine.
Yeah, I know.
It's okay.
I know. I'm just giving you shit. Just...
Man behind the curtains coming out.
Yeah. I'm producing today. It's not. I mean, see, I just do this.
Take care of Saul.
And we don't have Jamie to look that up, I guess.
No. So I was gonna ask, what other songs did you have? Like, if you had anyone in mind for us to play at the end of this show today? Because we can't do it live. Obviously, it's on the audio version only because YouTube will flag us for that.
No, it's great. Let's see. There's a song out there called "I Didn't Come Here to Die," which is the title of the album. And for anybody that's watching, if you go to whitecollarsideshow.com, you can find all of our music. Or if you just Google White Collar Sideshow, you can find anything there is to know or where anything is about us. And then all of our music's on every social media platform, Pandora, Spotify, whatever is out there, you can find it. I Didn't Come Here to Die is good, but if you guys are a cover song fan, we actually did a cover song on this album. We did Break On Through by The Doors.
Hey.
And we did Our Style, Our Version, which again, there's some haters out there that were like, what, how could you possibly do this song? But I would hope at the end of the day, someone like Jim Morrison might go, man, I love the way you did your own artistic approach to that song. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Amanda. So like we did our version of it. We did a White Collar Sideshow version of that. And to do a song that's so iconic, that is that everybody knows, that gets played on a radio station somewhere probably 2 or 3 times a day. Obviously I don't want to, man, it's already a killer song. I love The Doors, probably one of my all-time favorite bands. So it's a song that means a lot to me and has history with me. And if you guys wanted to play that one, I think it'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that actually sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I most definitely will play that one. So stick around after the show. Audio version only, obviously. Stick around after the show to check that out. And if you guys have any trouble finding White Collar Sideshow, I've got a lot of their links in the YouTube description, the Facebook description, and they will be in the podcast description. So you know exactly where to find them. All their links are going to be there. If you guys have any trouble, if you don't know how to listen with your ears, obviously you're listening to the podcast. Randy, where can I find you?
Somewhere floundering in the gaps between my delusion and reality.
Yeah. Okay. In a constant state of depression.
Constant anxiety or depression.
Yeah, one of the two.
Anxiety, man.
But the anxiety sometimes manifests itself as outward hostility, which when you're like a 6'2" gigantor gorilla of a dude is not a good look. And if you want to hear more about this, you can follow me on Facebook. Randy Garner Humor on Instagram, and I think that's about it these days that I'm really active on.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. My personal accounts are at neverbeenfunny with 1 E, and you know where to find us at STM Pod on all things everywhere. And apparently, according to Randy, check out our merch. Shout out to our sponsors, Ballsy. Go to ballwash.com. Use promo code STM Pod at checkout. Save yourself 15%. Spunk Lube.
Yeah, I couldn't do the segue because somebody hid all of the gear here.
It's all right. We'll just shout them out real quick. Spunklube.com. Promo code STM Pod for 10% off your order. And check out a Witch's Vape Shop downtown Evanston, Wyoming. For always hooking us up with cool vape stuff. And that's it. And search. Go to search.com.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
Just to see if it's a thing. I don't even know if it's a thing.
And I appreciate you guys so much for doing a last minute get together and coming on the show and hanging out for an hour and a half.
Ben, Randy, thank you very much. It's an honor to get to chat. And I love everything about the podcast. I love just hanging and chatting. man, that's cool to me. So I'd love to do it again one day if you're ever.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you need somebody. If someone else backs out, you can be like, hey, T, are you free tonight? And I'll be like, sure, man.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Hey, we will take you up on that, man.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have to one day. Yeah, I mean, we got lucky tonight. You guys were you were hanging out, we were hanging out. So we really appreciate you coming on. We will be sharing your stuff off and on, I'm sure, for the foreseeable future. So
well, super appreciate you guys, man. And again, like, thanks for having me.
And until next week, goodbye.
Bye. Buy our merch.